Sigma INFJs don't often modify their standards, beliefs, looks, or values to fit in with other people. They never bother to consider how they can make an impression on their friends. Why is it the case? Here are 8 explanations for why a Sigma INFJ never seeks to win people over. 8. Rather than looking to the outside world for approval, they stay true to their beliefs. Sigma INFJs find fulfillment in upholding their morals and principles. Sincerity-based connections are fostered because of their self-assurance, which enables them to navigate social settings without feeling the need to impress. Impressing people requires a certain amount of pretense or compliance. On the other hand, Sigma INFJs are resistant to living up to social norms. They value each other's originality and accept themselves as individuals. Sincerity is encouraged by this appreciation of authenticity since it values people for who they really are. Sigma INFJs put more importance on their own development than seeking approval from others. Instead of being driven by a need to impress, their path is one of constant development. This emphasis on one's own progress leads to a sense of fulfillment independent of the opinions of others. 7. They get satisfaction by affirming themselves. They have an internal sense of fulfillment when they uphold their values and convictions. Authenticity is more important to Sigma INFJs than the need to fit in with society's norms. They know that real self-validation lasts longer and leads to more contentment than the transient approval of others. A Sigma INFJ's path is characterized by an internal motivation-driven emphasis on personal development. Rather of attempting to find satisfaction in outward accomplishments, they view continual improvement. They can develop mentally, emotionally, and spiritually thanks to the self-driven method without constantly demanding approval from others. Sigma INFJs value uniqueness and embrace its power. They embrace individuality in themselves and others, realizing that sincere bonds are forged when people accept one another for who they are. They prioritize authenticity over uniformity, which lessens the need to impress. This is a celebration of individuality. Impressing people implies a certain amount of conformity or a desire to live up to expectations from outside sources. However, some INFJs buck this pressure and draw power from their uniqueness. They interact with people in a sincere manner, building relationships based on a respect for sincerity and a common set of ideals. Does this imply that, as a Sigma INFJ, you never have to prove yourself to others in order to be liked or accepted? 6. They focus their energies on developing themselves. One of the internal forces that drives Sigma INFJs is their desire for personal progress. Rather than depending on accolades or appreciation from others, they devote their time and energy to growing in their understanding, emotional intelligence, and general well-being. Their self-motivated quest of development enables them to mature as people without constantly demanding approval from others. A Sigma INFJ's path entails ongoing self-improvement. They aim to better themselves, establish goals, and welcome difficulties. Beyond the recognition that comes from attempting to impress people on the outside, there is an inside drive to grow that provides a sense of fulfillment. Sigma INFJs are aware that seeking personal development is a dynamic, never-ending process. It's about realizing their own potential rather than meeting some rigid external ideal. Their emphasis on internal growth sets them apart from people who might place more value on outward accomplishments just to seem good. Impressing people means living up to social norms or outside expectations. However, Sigma INFJs reject this uniformity and focus their energies on improving themselves. Sincere connections based on substance are facilitated by their deliberate concentration on personal development, which cultivates a sense of authenticity and depth in their character. 5. They are not influenced by conventions or expectations from society. Those who identify as Sigma INFJs don't feel the need to demonstrate their value by adhering to preconceived notions of achievement or greatness. They are free to follow their passions and interests in an authentic way since they are not subject to the demands of society. There must be some pretense or adherence to social norms in order to impress people. True to their nature, Sigma INFJs oppose putting up a front to win over others. They find strength in staying loyal to who they are, accepting who they are, and letting their personality come through. Sigma INFJs are aware that seeking acceptance from others can be a never-ending cycle that frequently results in a lack of sincerity. Rather than engaging in this game, they opt for authenticity over flimsy impressiveness. Their sincerity draws those who value sincere relationships founded on common principles, acting as a magnet. Instead than focusing on fitting in, Sigma INFJs interact with people from a point of authentic self-expression. Have you, as a Sigma INFJ, ever been pressured to live up to external ideals of impressiveness? 4. They appreciate individualism and distinctiveness. Whereas the majority of people follow predetermined guidelines or conventions, Sigma INFJs value the diversity of expressing and appreciating each individual's distinctive qualities. This honoring of uniqueness creates the foundation for relationships built on sincere comprehension and gratitude. Authenticity is more important to Sigma INFJs than trying to conform into preconceived notions of impressiveness. They inspire others to be authentic by acknowledging that every person's experience is unique. People feel accepted for who they are in an environment that celebrates individuality, which develops relationships that go beyond first impressions. Sigma INFJs are aware that adhering to social norms frequently means compromising one's own self in the name of fitting in. They choose for an alternative course that emphasizes genuineness and permits individuals to express who they really are. By doing this, they establish relationships based more on genuineness than on the desire to please. They celebrate originality not just in themselves, but in everyone they come into contact with. Sigma INFJs value the distinctive traits, viewpoints, and life experiences that every individual has to offer. This accepting attitude cultivates relationships that are based on sincere respect, understanding, and a common appreciation of the variety of human expression. 3. They don't dread being alone themselves and are at ease in isolation. The fear of being forgotten or left out by society is a common source of the drive to impress. But Sigma INFJs are comfortable being by themselves. They cherish the time they spend reflecting on themselves and pursuing their own interests, because they know that true happiness originates from within and is not influenced by expectations or comments from others. This ease with solitude stems from a deep knowledge of oneself rather than from avoidance or seclusion. Sigma INFJs value personal development and self-discovery, which are activities that flourish in isolated times. This self-sufficiency reduces the demand for continuous external validation in the form of spectacular deeds. To make an impression on others, one must adhere to social norms in order to be accepted or acknowledged. Because they feel most at ease in solitude, many INFJs fight the urge to fit in. They see solitude not as a bad thing, but as a chance for reflection and self-care, which weakens the appeal of trying to impress people. Does this solace help you, as a Sigma INFJ, withstand the pressure from society to always impress people? 2. They put morality ahead of trying to win others over. The idea of striving to impress frequently entails following social standards or expectations from the outside world. On the other hand, Sigma INFJs place a higher value on their morality and values. They know that rather than striving to live up to expectations of impressiveness set by others, true fulfillment comes from acting in accordance with their moral convictions. Sigma INFJs respect sincerity in behavior. They put more emphasis on the sincerity of their goals than on acting in ways that will make an impression. When people see through their sincerity, they are able to cultivate relationships based on mutual respect and trust. The desire to do what is right frequently forces people to make decisions that might not meet society's standards for impressiveness. Understanding that the road of integrity may not always be the most conventionally impressive one, Sigma INFJs are at ease with this divergence. They put a lot of effort into acting morally and building connections on the basis of ethical and shared beliefs. 1. They make sure their social interactions reflect their moral principles. The cornerstone of interactions for Sigma INFJs is a meticulous adherence to their core beliefs. Because of their deliberate approach to social interaction, they don't feel pressure to present themselves in a way that just serves to impress others rather than speaking to their true self. Sigma INFJs make sure that their behaviors in social situations are consistent with their ideals by acting with a feeling of purpose. Their choices and actions are guided by this deliberate alignment, which fosters a consistency that is based on sincerity rather than a need to impress. Their genuineness turns into a characteristic that sets them apart. Sometimes the desire to win people over results in moral compromises, or the adoption of false practices. On the other hand, Sigma INFJs cherish the authenticity that results from adhering to their values. This dedication to genuineness cultivates relationships with people who respect honesty and common ground. With a keen sense of judgment, Sigma INFJs select social networks that support their worldview. This selectiveness guarantees that the people in their social circle value and respect the sincerity that characterizes Sigma INFJs. Instead of focusing on outward impressiveness, they appreciate relationships built on mutual understanding, shared beliefs, and sincere respect. In what ways does selective socializing benefit you as a Sigma INFJ? Because they are confident in their own abilities, many INFJs don't want to hear it from others. To feel loved, people don't require the affection of the entire world. It suffices to validate oneself. Why, as a Sigma INFJ, would you never be able to win someone over?